What's up, everyone? It's your host, Adam Martin. We're here with my co-host here, Big Marcel, here to preview UFC 281, Adesanya Pereira. Can't wait to talk about this card with you, Marcel. It's the MMAOB Daily Podcast for Sunday, November 6th. We just finished the recap show recapping UFC Vegas 64, Rodriguez versus Lemos. And now we're going to get into UFC 281. Marcel, I can't wait to talk about this card with you. I mean, obviously, ridiculously stacked. 14 fights, if I'm not mistaken. This card's amazing. So just your overall thoughts on this card, because, I mean, from my perspective, bro, like, I look at this card, and this is, like, what MMA is about, like, cards like this. What do you think?
It's a stacked card, I mean, it pretty much says enough when you have in the prelims, you have a fight like Dominick Reyes against Ryan Spann on it, and the Brett Riddell against Moicano or on the prelims, you know what I mean? It says enough. And even on the early prelims, you got some really good fights. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
Can't wait, man. It's going to be a great card. Can't wait to talk about it with you. Like I was telling you, Marcel, and you guys in the earlier chat, I'm away for a week, so it'll be interesting because I'm going to be in Dominican, so I have to watch it there. But that's fine with me. I'll be chilling on the beach watching the fights. I mean, that sounds pretty good too, right? I think that sounds pretty good. Yeah. So I just want to make that clear, though, guys. Next Sunday, no podcast. Next Monday, no podcast. We're aiming for next Tuesday. That would be the next show. So
he wants to make clear that he's on the beach watching with a cocktail.
I really need a week off, man. Like this. It's gonna be a good week. Anyways, let's get some comments. We got our boy Worth It here. He says he's the first to hit the like button. Appreciate it. Got a question about Adesanya. We'll talk about him in the fights. This card's fight so good, Joe. Glad to have you here, Joe. One of our favorites here. All right, we don't play favorites. We like everyone, right, Marcel? We like everyone that joins us.
Yeah.
But, let's get into it, guys. We're at 14 fights to break down. So great card. Let's start off, Marcel, with the first fight of the night. We're just gonna pull up UFC stats. That's what we use, guys, for the bout order. I think it's correct, right, Marcel? Like you would know. I'm pretty sure it looks.
What's number 5 prelim on
1,
it?
2, 3, 4. That'd be Frevola.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay,
yeah.
It's good to go. All right, let's start here, guys. The first fight is Carlos Ulberg taking on Nicolae Negumereanu in the UFC light heavyweight division. The odds for this one are actually very competitive. Right now, Ulberg's favored, but it's like he's barely. He's barely favored. Minus 125 to plus 105 for Negumereanu. Odds open at minus 200, so that's notable because obviously some action's coming in on the dog. And I think it makes sense because, Nick, he's pulled off several upsets now, right, in the UFC. So I think that's understandable. I guess I'll start off, Marcel.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Since I'm already talking about it. I think it's a kind of a coin flip fight. I think the odds are right. I think they're right where they should be. I think it's an interesting fight. I think Ulberg is the better fighter, I guess, and as far as like potential goes, because just the athleticism I think is a tier higher, and the power, the explosiveness. But Nicolae is very, very tough dude, and he's also a good fighter who's knocked people out now, and I think probably is the better cardio too if it goes 3 rounds. That's what makes it tough. I think if you're picking Carlos here, you kind of need him to finish the fight early, Marcel, because I think as the fight goes on, he'll wear down. And Nicolae, especially he's a guy that goes to the body. He'll like wear out on him. That's why I think it's the fight. The odds are where they are. I think people are split on this one. I picked Ulberg, and it's only just because he's been training with all those guys from Sadie Kickboxing. They're all on the same card. I think they're all ready to go, and again, I think he has like the knockout power to take out Negumereanu as he just did to Chukwi. But Marcel, I don't want to bet on this fight, because I think Nicolae could come and out there and pull off the small upset here with like a late TKO or decision, So kind of a tricky one to call, to be honest with you. I think it's either Ulberg early or Nicolae late. What do you think?
One of 4 city kickboxing fighters on this fight.
Yep.
I feel exactly the same way, dude. I was thinking like you might take a gamble with the Nicolae Negumereanu decision, and I feel the way as well, But I also think Ulberg can finish him in the first round. So I always slightly leaning to Ulberg in the first round, but I'm not sure at all. This is like you say. I completely agree with you. The line makes sense, that it's close. It's either a stoppage win, I think, for Ulberg, or maybe a later stoppage for Negumereanu or a decision win for Nicolae Negumereanu. So I also don't going to go with the dog. I'm not going to take the gamble. I'm going with the favorite here with Ulberg. TKO or knockout in the first round. I think so.
Yeah, so we're kind of on the same page with that one. All right, let's get to the next one here. Another great bantamweight fight, man. This division is just on fire. Marcel, we got Montel Jackson taking on Julio Arce. Montel is minus 205, Arce plus 175. You can start on this one. Go ahead.
It's a super difficult fight as well, in my opinion. Last time Julio Arce, I like Julio a lot, and he kind of surprised me, man, with how sharp he fought against Daniel Santos. You saw in the last fight, Daniel Santos got the win over Castaneda. Montel Jackson, very good fighter, in my opinion. Also a big talent, although he's 30 already. Only lost in the UFC to Brad Jones, who is now also against Ricky Simon, but Brad Jones, who is now in Bellator. Yeah, it's difficult, man. I definitely think this goes to a decision, and I think it will be a super close fight, man. Honestly, I think this might be the first time Julio gets a win in the UFC in New York, man. This is going to be super close, I think. Can go either way. I see split decision. I'm going with Arce here. That because it's in New York and it's the home base of Arce, makes me think that the judges are more on his side, and definitely the audience more on his side, which influences it. Split decision for Julio here, but super close, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Jackson pulls it off.
Yeah, this one is interesting, right? Like they're both, I think, really solid fighters. Obviously, I'm really high on Montel Jackson. I think you are too. I mean, the wrestling is dominant. He's been put in some bad spots. It's not like he's been undefeated. He's lost some fights in the UFC he should have won, But I think the guy's good. He's getting better. And obviously, like for this division, 5'10", 75-inch reach. It's physically, like he's got some very special stuff here going on. Arce, though, we saw in the last fight against Santos. That win looks a lot better now, doesn't it? After Daniel Santos just knocked out Castaneda. He looked great in that fight. And here's the thing with him. I wasn't sure what his takedown defense was because, I'm just thinking, has he even been taken down? 94%. So it's like one of the better takedown defenses in the UFC, like in this division, anyways. The problem I have with that is he hasn't really fought any wrestlers. That's the problem I have, except for Dan Ige, I guess, 4 years ago. Otherwise, Marcel, all the guys lately are strikers. That's the problem I have with that. But against Ige, which was actually up in weight class,
everything.
1 of 13 Ige was, so got one down one time. So that's something to keep in mind. And obviously, as the years go on, you'd imagine his team defense is getting better. But I think Montel is a really good dominant wrestler in this division, Marcel. And not only that, in the last 2 fights, the last 2 fights he's landed 6 knockdowns. In the last 4 fights, he's landed 8 knockdowns. Like the power is the difference too with this guy. So for me, it's an interesting fight. I can't wait to see how this plays out. But I am leaning Jackson, Marcel, because I think he's got more ways to win with the grappling and the striking. That's why I take him. But he has, lost a few times as a favorite. So that's the problem here. But a great fight. So you think it goes the distance, eh? That's what you're saying?
Split decision, I guess.
I could see that happening for sure. Walter, what's up, man? How's it going? Go ahead.
Every time when you see Montel Jackson, do you also have to think about Montel Jordan?
Yeah. This is how we do it.
Yeah, exactly. he should make that as his walkout song,
He should. He freaking should. All right, let's get to the next one, Marcel. We got the UFC featherweight division, here. Mike Trizano, the Lone Wolf. New York's Mike Trizano taking on SeungWoo Choi. Odds for this one, minus 155 Choi, Trizano plus 135. What do you think?
Yeah, another one which is super close in my opinion. Mike Trizano hasn't showed up really in his last couple of fights, in my opinion. The Dawodu fight, he was really hesitant. Dawodu wasn't that much better, but he just landed more. And in the last fight against Lucas Almeida, I think he started well. Second round Almeida, and then Almeida knocked him out. Was fight of the night. Was a good fight. If you look at SeungWoo Choi, he got 2 losses in his last fight, a split decision, which should have been unanimous against Kulibao. And before that, he got stopped by Caceres in the fight he was winning in the first round. So kind of a similar, I think, might be lose or leave style. Maybe Choi is lucky. If he loses, he gets a South Korea spot on the South Korea card in February. So lots to fight for, dude. Another close one. Trizano fights at home. I'm favoring Trizano, unanimous decision here. But another close one.
Yeah, no, it's competitive. But I'm actually kind of with you on this one, Marcel, because for me, both guys are a little flawed. I think we know both would feel that way. They're also I think they're fighting for their jobs. Maybe like you said, because it's in South Korea, he would get that fight. Probably does, but Trizano, I think, is fighting for his job, despite being a former Ultimate Fighter guy. Because really, Choi's 2-4 in the UFC. Trizano's 3-3, but I don't think he'd be Klein, so he should be 2-4 as well. So I think they're both in that spot where they both need to win. It's really tough for me to like actually bet money on Mike Trizano in this fight, but I do think that I do favor him slightly to win the fight, and he's plus 135. So I'm gonna have to think about this one all week. The thing is, sometimes I do lean towards an underdog, but it's only like a slight lean. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm super, super confident. In this case, it's a slight lean, Marcel. Like I favor him like 55% of the time. The odds say he obviously wins like less. They're saying I think he wins like what, like 40 to 45% of the time. So there's a, I think small margin there if you want to take a shot on him as a dog, because there are obviously some dogs will win on this card. I'm leaning towards him by decision, but Choi is pretty talented, so I could obviously see him winning too. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of torn, but at the same time, I do lean Trizano, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think it's Trizano or pass too. I wouldn't bet on Choi as a favorite after that last fight with Kulibao, which by the way, split decision. Are you kidding me? Who was the judge? It was Anthony Dimitru. Oh yeah, that guy had a bad night.
Yeah, he had 3 weird decisions, right?
Oh, scrub. All right, let's go to the next one, Marcel. We got Karolina Kowalkiewicz against Silvana Gomez Juarez, UFC Women's Strawweight Division. Odds for this one is basically a pick'em. Yeah, it's minus 110 each. Flip a coin, Marcel. Flip a coin. What do you think, man?
This depends on how much of a tool bag is Karolina is going to fight this time. Is she going to fight smart, or is she going to fight like a tool bag like she does sometimes, If she fights smart and she fights the way she can with her talent, she should win this any day. You know what I mean? But you can't be sure with her, nowadays. I know she got that win over Felice Herrick last time, beautiful submission win. But man, if Silvana Gomez Juarez can hit her on the chin, she's gone, I think, And the thing is, what is going to happen here is Karolina's playing this smart. I know she's a standing fighter, but she should take this to the ground immediately, in my opinion, Why taking a risk against somebody who's not that great on the ground like Silvana Gomez Juarez, and pretty much her only good chance to win the fight is a serious knockout, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I hope that Karolina fights smart, that she got a lot more confidence from that win against Herrick last time out, and that she can win the decision here. But, dude, I won't be surprised if Silvana knocks her out. So it can go either way. I think a knockout for Silvana or a decision win for Karolina. Taking Karolina, though.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? It's a little tricky too. Obviously that's why the odds are like that. The problem is it's just hard to like trust, I think, really either fighter, especially Karolina, because she beat Felice Herrick, and then Felice Herrick promptly retired, right after the fight, basically. Before that, lost 5 straight fights. Getting up there in age, quite frankly. I mean, she still looks great, obviously, but she's 37 now or so, like she's taking a lot of damage, right? Like remember that fight with Andrade? Like,
of course.
That's one of the best women's knockouts of all time.
Yeah.
And then Silvana, obviously, coming off that amazing knockout win, even before that, the Demopoulos fight, remember she dropped her and then, left her arm out, and that's the problem, right? The 2 losses are by submission in the first round. I think someone gets finished in this fight. The under is plus money right now. I think that's the bet here, guys. I think you bet on the finish in this fight, Marcel.
So you're going with Gomez Juarez then?
I'll take Karolina by submission.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'll take her with an armbar, but it's a coin flip for a reason. I'm only taking her because she's the better grappler on paper, and that's why she should actually probably be favored, because she's the better grappler in MMA. But Marcel,
I agree.
Right? But Silvana is a devastating power, honestly. She has great knockout power. That's why I just take a finish. I don't see this fight going 3 rounds. I really don't, man. What do you think?
I agree. I let them both armbar me. I don't care, So, but
I'll
yeah,
take plus 120 on the finish. That line's going to change.
Yeah.
It'll probably end up being like even money. Maybe I think most people kind of feel that way once the line gets out there. But right now there is a book open with the fight under guys at plus money. That's what I think. Hey, what's up, Glenn? How's it going? Yeah, he likes Karolina too. And I agree. The level of competition's there too for her. Karolina takes her down to over 9 seconds for sure. Andrew, hope all is well with you, man. Let's go to the next one, Marcel. We have Matt Frevola against Ottman Azaitar. I believe it's the last early prelim.
It's the future prelim and the early prelims, yes.
Okay. Remember, guys, 14 fights in this card. Hopefully, cross our fingers, nothing happens and nothing falls off. But come on, let's be honest. At least one of these fights is not going to happen. Let's be honest. Unfortunately. I hope it's not this one, because I think it's a great fight. We got Matt Frevola, Ottman Azaitar. Odds for this one are also close. It's minus 115 Frevola, minus 105 Azaitar. Open Azaitar is a minus 125 favorite, so slight money's coming in on Frevola early, but it's balancing out a little bit. I think it'll probably close as close to a pick'em again, like the last fight. What do you think about this one, man? Because obviously 2 guys with a lot of power. I lean a finish in this fight, but I want to hear who you think wins.
Matt Frevola, use your fucking ground game, dude. That's what I think. Because Azaitar is a fun fighter, stand up, but his ground game isn't that great, And Frevola is a guy who fell in love with his striking, while his best shot at winning this fight is taking it to the ground, in my opinion. Why taking the risk with a guy who has the knockout power that Azaitar has? I think that the longer the fight goes, that it favors Frevola. I think Frevola will do it, man. I'm going with Frevola, unanimous decision. I'm taking the underdog here.
I think someone gets finished. I'm leaning towards Azaitar a little bit. I think the guy's got just that like special KO power. We see that in both his fights. Go ahead.
If it's a finish, I would go with Azaitar as well. But yeah,
I think the fight ends in a stoppage, especially the way Frevola fought his last fight. That was just insane. He looked great against that General Valdez guy. That guy's like, he's not really UFC caliber like that guy. And then obviously McKinney starts you in 10 seconds. The thing is, like you said, if he fights smart, Marcel, like remember when he fought Jalen Turner?
Yeah.
I was surprised he won that fight, honestly, but he fought smart, right? He used his grappling. I just think he's going to fight like he's going to try to get a bonus here and go for his head. And I think it's going to be like the Polo Reyes fight or the McKinney fight where he gets caught in the first round.
Possible, very possible.
Yeah, I think someone gets knocked out. I think it's going to be Frevola knocked out. I got to be honest, like, I do think it's a fight that, obviously they build on a path to win, but I think the odds makers had it right personally when they opened up Azaitar is the favorite, and maybe as the week goes on, it'll change a little bit back towards him. But I favor him the win here. The only thing I have as a concern really is the layoff 2 years. That's a concern. Also, obviously, the potatoes, right? That's a concern too, right, Marcel? So, as someone mentioned, with Azaitar actually fight with potatoes, well, that was especially in that bag. Apparently, that was what it was inside the distance, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so too. How's Frevola not take a dirt nap with that chin? Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, he's got power himself, so he can finish you, but his chin doesn't look great in the UFC. He's been dropped. Matt Frevola has been dropped 5 times in the UFC, twice by Renato, twice by Polo Reyes, once by McKinney, and then he got those knockdowns back against Valdez with 4 of them in his last fight. Like, he looked amazing. I just feel like that was in January. Like, why did he take so long to fight? Like, I just feel like the momentum kind of stalled a bit, personally. Anyways, we've stayed enough of this fight. Let's go to the next one. Next fight here, Marcel. This is the middleweights. Andre Petroski taking on Wellington Turman. And the odds for this one are minus 205 Petroski, Wellington Turman, plus 175. You could start on this one too.
I early heard Wellington. I'm thinking about beef Wellington.
I know, every time you say that, and then someone was I was talking to someone recently, and they were talking about like, oh, a friend of mine from my bowling league, he works as a waiter in a restaurant, right? And he's like, I'm like, is there anything I should try at your restaurant? He's like, oh man, the beef Wellington. And I thought about me and you talking about this podcast because I've never had it before, but you were like, oh, it's so delicious, right? So.
Yeah, but that's always what I'm thinking about when I hear his name. Listen, man, Turman surprised me with the submission win over Serkinov last time. I didn't saw that coming. Definitely not by submission. I know he's pretty well rounded he's pretty good on the ground, but I still didn't expect him to caught Misha in it. If you look at Petroski, I remember when Petroski came in the UFC, many people were like, not that great, but then he finishes Nick Maximov in the first round with an anaconda choke and it looked very, very good. He's also a Daniel Gracie guy. They saw their streak going broken by Damon Jackson last time out against Pat Sabatini. I still think that camp is great, although Sean Brady also lost, by the way, to Muhammad, but that camp is great. I feel like Petroski should be able to win against Turman, man. I haven't been really how do you say that? Impressed by Turman, yeah. So I think Petroski should win, and I think he submits him in the second round.
Yeah, Wellington, me either, but I think submitting Serkinov was nice. Like, he's just not in the UFC now, though, right? And then his last win, Sam Alvey's not in the UFC. Marcus Perez is the other one, Marcel. And then he got brutally knocked out by a couple. Like, Andrew Sanchez knocked this dude out, remember? Like, it was bad. And then Bruno Silva. He does have submissions, though. That's what is interesting, right? He's 2 guys that are good on the ground. But to me, Petroski's better on the ground. And I trust him more, like, with the cardio. Like, he's looked... We all thought he was a gas, remember? We were all talking about how bad his gas tank was. Yeah. I don't think it's bad at all, Marcel. I think he gets better as the fight. And again, that whole camp, is pretty solid. I know that obviously Brady and Pat Sabatini recently lost. I think Petroski's going to lose eventually, but I don't think it's to Wellington. I think he wins, Marcel. You submission or you think he like blankets him?
Submission, second round.
Yeah, I can see that. Has Wellington been submitted? I want to double check that. I know he has a lot of submissions. I want to see though for sure. Wellington Turman, he's never been submitted. So that's the only like hesitation I have with going out and saying like go on submission here because
I mean,
but it can still happen. Yeah,
Nick Maximoff was never submitted.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It can still happen. It's not like it can't.
Yeah,
I'm just like on the fence between him just blanketing him or like
I understand
running him out. So, anyways, we're on the same page with that one. And get some comments. He's training with Marab and Aljo. He's got to be looking at his ground game. Who's going to talking about?
I think Frevola.
Oh, Frevola, yeah. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, fair enough. Or is he talking about Wellington?
I know that Frevola has trained with Ray Longo before, so I think it's...
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys. Wellington moved to Glover's gym as of his last fight, whereas Petroski looked awful in his first two UFC quick sub last time. It's hard to pick. Yeah, I know what you're saying, too. You're right. Like, even that Hugh Yaozong guy, like, that fight was not great, but... And even Michael Gilmore, like, there were some issues, but... He still won the fight. He still finished both those guys, and then obviously submitted Maximov as a huge underdog. Like, I have to pick him here. I'm obviously going to pick him. You're right, though. I mean, Turman, again, he's surprising. It's first of all, I didn't expect him to beat Misha by submission. That really surprised me. So maybe he surprises, but again, I'm not too high on the guy. All right, let's go to the next fight here, guys.
I'm getting old, dude.
I know.
No, I'm getting old. I'm how do like my own what do you guys call it, saliva or something?
That's funny. Oh yeah,
I'm getting old.
Erin Blanchfield versus Molly McCann, women's flyweight bout here, and odds for this one: Blanchfield -390, McCann +320. Go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, Molly McCann not fighting a soccer mom this time. Yeah, what can we say about this? I don't understand this matchmaking by the UFC. If they want to build Molly and Paddy, in England pretty much and over the world. Well, you give her Blanchfield, which is like probably the biggest prospect at 125, in my opinion. Although she has some flaws in her striking. We saw that against JJ Aldrich. And maybe that's what the UFC tries to capitalize on with Molly here. But I think Blanchfield plays smart, takes her to the ground, dominates her for 3 rounds, maybe gets a finish, But, dude, Blanchfield all the way. I'm taking Blanchfield. Does she submit her? Maybe second round submission for Erin Blanchfield. Let's go. Let's do that.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like the UFC, they don't give you layups, man. They gave her those easy fights. Let's be honest, in England, and now that she's, hey, I want to fight for the belt or whatever. It's like, all right, well, go fight Erin Blanchfield, and I just think it's a horrible matchup for her. That's what it comes down to. Like,
what are the odds again?
-390.
Yeah,
Blanchfield. I think that's fine. Like -4 to 1 is fair.
Mm-hmm.
Molly's got a puncher's chance. She has looked phenomenal in her last 2 fights, back-to-back spinning back out 1 knockouts. Like you never see that. She did it twice in a row. Much credit to her. But again, Luana, Karolina, Hannah Goldie are just like they're just mediocre fighters, Marcel, that don't have any grappling really. Blanchfield is like an elite grappler almost. Obviously, and she goes for the finish. She's trying to hurt you the whole time. She did struggle a bit. I'm going to say that. Hold on. She struggled a bit in her last fight, but then ends up getting a nice finish at the end.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. The fight where she struggled the most, she got the finish, I
know, right? And the other one, she dominated, obviously. Yeah. And, she had some nice wins in the big time. Listen, maybe we're underestimating McCann's improvement in the grappling, but I haven't seen it yet. I know she was like, Hannah Goldie couldn't take me down. Marcel, like, I'm not sold that because that didn't happen. Blanchfield can. I think Blanchfield, the first round will be competitive, but once she gets to the ground, the fight's going to go away. Erin Blanchfield wins. You think submission? Maybe. Definitely possible. I'm leaning a decision, but I think submission's possible too. So, anything else you want to say about that fight? Or
no, like I said, I didn't understand the booking at all, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Jamie, what's up, man? He's talking about Dustin Chandler. I can't wait to talk about that card. I feel like that fight has been really flown under the radar. Tough at the office for Molly. I agree. Molly by round 1 knockout. It's possible, Glenn, but that'd be the only way to bet it, guys. I think you take Molly by knockout. You wouldn't. I don't think she'd win a decision in that fight. Like she doesn't have the grappling. I don't think for 50 minutes to keep up with Erin. Or so we're not getting old, are we? Are we old? We are old. And I get the UFC trying to give the rugby person who has the best shot at beating Chad, but it's going to be hard to convert new fans. Right? Wet blanket, the most popular fight in the division. Yeah, a finish would be good, like Marcel called, right? If she goes out there and finishes, she could submit her. Jillian Robertson submitted her, right? Like, and Jillian's great on the ground too. Erin's a more better wrestler, maybe not as good at submissions, but man, that last fight, Marcel, honestly, losing the fight, I think I parlayed her, and I'm like, is this really the fight she's going to lose to JJ Aldrich, who's an underrated fighter, but then chokes her out cold, So, yeah, she's good. All right, let's go to the next fight here, guys. Dominick Reyes against Ryan Spann. I mean, what a great fight. Like, this card is so fucking stacked. This could easily be the main event for any fight in that card.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I would have preferred it was for the last couple cards. Although the fight was, the knockout was nice. All right, odds for this one. -225 Dominick Reyes, +190 Ryan Spann. Your thoughts?
A little bit wide, in my opinion. I think should be a little bit more closer. Although I got the feeling that Ryan Spann is a good fighter, but when he gets those higher up fighters, he kind of chokes, And with Dominick Reyes, I know he lost 3 in a row, but those were 2 title fights, and that Prohaska fight, who is the current champion. I think Reyes before that looked really good, And even, let's be honest, the Jones fight could have gone his way as well. So it's difficult, How did he come back? I don't know. That's the main thing. If the Reyes comes back that we saw before, he should win this fight, in my opinion. If the Reyes comes back that we saw in this last fight, a little bit more hesitant, then Spann has a chance. I still think Reyes should win this fight, man. I think he probably wins by via K or TKO ground and pound.
Yeah, you have to take Dominick Reyes. I think in this fight, despite obviously the losses and the layoff, and I still think the guy is a good fighter. He's, I think he's training with Glover now, right? Is he not? Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, he's doing the right thing. Ryan Spann. Okay, let's talk about Dominick first. Like, the guy's great. I did think he beat John Jones in a close fight. Then gets knocked by Jan. Then that Yuri Prochazka fight, man, he hurt Yuri too. It's not like that, and he almost submitted him. Remember, like. Yuri apparently was knocked out and then woke back up in the fight. Remember James interviewed him and he said that, right? Dominick's still a dangerous guy. I mean, all the knockouts he had before that, I still think the guy's going to win a lot of fights in the UFC. And Ryan Spann's a guy that is flawed, in my opinion. Marcel, like, he obviously has power. He's got submissions we saw in the last fight. But too often not, I'm seeing him get hurt and then dropped. He's one of these guys that's better as a hammer than a nail, I think. And I think Dominick Reyes will knock him out. So I'm going with Dominick Reyes by knockout. I think someone gets knocked out. I think it's going to be Dominick. I don't think this fight's going. Go ahead.
Every time I think about Dominick Reyes, I have to think about his debut where he knocked out the Danish grandfather. What's his name again?
Joaquin Christensen.
Yeah,
that guy. What was his record? 0-4 in the UFC. I want to say. Or he had a draw. Great. He had a draw with your guy. What's his name? He 1-3. He beat Bohan Mihaljevic and then lost to Henrik de Silva.
You have to go up and. The guy with a draw is Christian Colombo, you mean?
Yes, that's the what's the guy's name? Georges Daniel. And he had that crazy knockout and then disappeared again.
Yeah.
He went into hiding. All right, let's go to the next fight here.
Feature prelim.
Yeah, feature prelim. Brad Riddell against Renato Moicano. Man, or Renato Moicano, excuse me. I mean, what a great fight, right? Like, another amazing fight. This card is so fucking crazy, guys. Like, the problem I have, though, is, like, some of these fighting cards are weak, and they could have used Riddell versus Moicano or Reyes versus Spann as a main event.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Of course. I agree fully.
At the same time, though, this is going to be a fucking awesome card. So, odds for this one, guys, another tough one to pick, Marcel, according to the odds. -125 Moicano, +105 Riddell. What are your thoughts on this one? Because, honestly, I've been going back and forth on this one all week, probably, one of the of all the fights in the card. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I'm pretty sure about my pick on this one, man.
You're picking Moicano then, eh?
Yeah. I think his grappling is much better than this Riddell is, Yeah. Only Riddell's striking is really sharp, but we got to give Moicano also his credits in the striking as of lately. I think he's looking really good as well. And I think Moicano is smart, takes it to the ground probably. And I think he wins a submission here against Brad Riddell, man. I think Moicano is getting better as well in the UFC. Yeah, I'm thinking, and he's super tough. We saw it in the RDA fight. He even did win the fifth round probably in that fight where it was completely dominated by RDA.
Oh, I remember that. I'm like, yo, this guy's a beast, man. Like, he was still walking forward, like, after taking all that damage. Remember that, man? That was crazy, eh? You're convinced, eh? Okay, I think you might have convinced me too. Like, I just think I'm still, like, worried about the chin. That's what I'm worried about because he's been knocked out 3 times, and Riddell has really good power. But I'm with you kind of because the grappling. And Obviously, Riddell's coming off a really fast submission loss to Jalen Turner. Didn't look too good in the ground. I think his wrestling is pretty good. I think he's getting better, but his takedown defense is not great historically. And like you said, McCann, he's also a good striker. It's not like he's a bad striker, right? Like he can strike too. I'm not like 100% sure, guys. I still have my doubt because of the chin. I think he could get caught, but at the end of the day, I agree with Marcel. Like he's the better grappler in a fight that I think is going to be close. I would have to lean towards the better grappler, so I have to lean towards him. Any other thoughts on that fight?
No, man. I mean, that's what I expect. I expect Moicano to dominate with the grappling and finish Riddell. That's what I expect. But of course, there's always that chance that that Riddell can knock him out. Because his striking game is super sharp. We all know that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that Moicano is good enough to not get knocked out in this one and to get it to the ground and win the via submission there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think the fight doesn't go the distance either. I think either he gets knocked out or he submits Riddell.
It's a beautiful future prelim.
It's a great fight. I think it would probably go like 1 or 2 rounds and then someone gets finished. Maybe in the first round actually could happen. All right, main card.
Yeah.
Can't we talk about this one with you, man? First fight in the main card, Dan Hooker taking on Claudio Puelles. Love this fight. We got the Hangman taking on Prince of Peru.
I know you want to go first on this one. I feel you want to go first. Yeah, sure. I knew.
Odds -170, Dan Hooker, Claudio Puelles +145. Well, I don't think it's really even. Is it? It's pretty obvious what I'm picking, right? I'm just taking Claudio. Why would I not take Claudio +145? Are you kidding me? I'll take him any day. I like the guy, Marcel. I've liked him for a while.
You did already before the Levitt fight. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think I picked him in the last like 4 fights, I guess, after he came back from his layoff, right? Like he's still a young fighter. He's only 26. I remember when I started liking this guy because he said he went to what's it called? Sanford, or now it's Killcliff. I remember. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And now he's submitting everyone with his nasty knee bar. Like the guy's grappling is ridiculous. I think his striking is getting better too. Just the grappling is just phenomenal. And then, listen, Hooker, obviously a good fighter, great fighter at one point in his career. I think the takedown defense is good. He's actually a decent wrestler himself. I think a little underrated. We saw that in the hack press fight. Get some takedowns there to win that fight. But I just think Puelles has all the upside here, guys. Like all the upsides with him. You got a guy, like I said, super young. Still pretty early in his career, but still has 15 fights. Hasn't taken much damage compared to Dan Hooker, who's taking a ton of damage, coming off a brutal knockout loss. Like again, only losing to top guys. That's the thing. That's what makes it tricky. That's why the odds have him as the favorite. I get it, right? I understand why Hooker's favorite, but for me, Marcel, like this is a guy I've liked for a couple years now. I believe in this kid. I think he has the grappling to win the fight. So I'm going to take Claudio Puelles here, guys. Maybe he could submit him. Maybe he wins the decision, but I just like the money line here. +145. It's going to be +150 maybe this week. I like those odds. I'll take a shot on him for sure. I really like this guy, Marcel. Anyways, what do you think?
In the beginning, I wasn't high on Puelles. He lost in the Ultimate Fighter finale against Martin Bravo. Got pretty much destroyed by Felipe Silva and then wins in the 3rd round for a submission. But after that Levitt fight, he got the beautiful knee bar over Chris Gutierrez, or Gritzmacher, sorry, and a beautiful submission in his last fight against Clay Guida. I really like Puelles, man. I think he's a great talent. Dan Hooker, people hate me always for saying that, but I'm saying it for years. Dan Hooker, good fighter, not the top guy, but he can make it nasty with almost everybody in the top. You saw with Dustin Poirier back in the day, a few years ago, what he did. But in my opinion, he's a guy who is always around Volkanovski, Kai Kara France, Israel Adesanya, Brett Riddell. But he's not of the level of Israel Adesanya and Alex Volkanovski, Going back to 155, smart thing, because at 145 he looked dreadful last time in March in London. Dude, I think Puelles submits him here. I think another knee bar, dude.
Oh man, that'd be awesome, man. So we got three of them in the UFC. It's insane.
Yeah. Puelles, I don't know which round, but he gets a submission here. I was never on the Hooker hype train, and I'm still not. And I think as further his career goes, it's not going to get any better. So I think this perfect way for Puelles to step in to take his ranking. So I'm with Claudio Puelles here.
I like Dan Hooker, but he's had an interesting career. Like he started off, like if you look at his career, guys, it's just like up and up and down, and then it was just like a bunch of wins, and now it's like up and down with a lot
I
of
don't know.
losses. I just think it's a spot to fade him. That's what I think.
The problem with Dan Hooker was like he's always been a decent fighter, but at a certain moment when Volkanovski and Adesanya went to the top, and went like champions, he started to talk like a champion as well. Only his showings in the octagon weren't champion-esque, you know what I mean? So it's like you're talking like a champion, but you're not fighting like a champion. You're talking a lot, but you don't do it. And you listen. Adesanya talks a lot of shit all the time, but at least he shows up and he wins the fights. Volkanovski isn't that much of a talker. He's more like a little bit of a joker sometimes. He jokes a little bit around, but he shows up as well. But Hooker, he's a good fighter, but he's not a top fighter, and there's no disrespect to him. I really like him. I think he's a good fighter, but like I said, not like the top of the mountain. And I think Puella's perfect time for Puelas to step in and take his ranking here.
I think so too, but like watch Hooker go out there and like knock him out, and then we look like stupid here.
Yeah, and I can eat my words again. Yeah,
for sure, right? That's all we haven't did that before. What's up, Jason? How's it going? I think this is a great spot for Hooker. Back to 135, huge step down competition. I know he's not ranked, but I still think Claudio is like such a good prospect, man. I really do. Like, Daniel taking Claudio as a dog for sure. Me too. He's one of the dogs I like. I think Hooker win is fair enough. No, he's the favorite. I mean, he should win on paper, right? Like, I get it.
I feel like lots of, and there's no disrespect to any guys here picking Hooker, but I think a lot of casual fans betting Hooker because they know Hooker and they're not really familiar with Puelas. You know what I mean? I don't think many people are familiar with Puelas unless you're really following the sport. And the guys who are here in the chat following the sport, so they're probably thinking Hooker can win here. Yeah. But there are also a lot of guys betting on a fight who know Dan Hooker and probably not really familiar with Claudio Puelas. You know what I mean? So that's why I think the line is also like that. Because if you look at the recent fights, I'm really surprised Hooker is a favorite here.
Totally get it. Totally get it. Prince of Peru, Suburb Greasy decision. Probably. What's up, Joel? Let's see it on the scale. Yeah, well, it's back at 155, right? This fight? So Dan's back at his weight class. And
much better.
Yeah, I mean, 145, the skeleton of Dan Hooker. Like, that was I want to say he was favored against Arnold Allen, or it was like an even money fight. I definitely bet on Allen in that one. I was like,
Me too.
It was so quick. Dan Hooker's fight, Dustin. Yeah, it was a great fight. He's not as athletic quick as Volkan. I mean, that's pretty obvious. He's had some great fights. For me, it was the Hatsi Hioki knockout. Remember, he knocked out him with a head kick?
When Hioki was supposed to be the next big thing.
Remember? He fucking brutalized him. Hioki was... I remember writing an article about him in 2011, guys, saying he's the guy to fight Aldo. That didn't work out.
He also starts Gilbert Burns at 155. So,
True.
I mean... Yeah.
Totally agree with Marcel. Line makes no sense. Hooker should be fair enough. Jason, I don't think Castro was walking the podcast. I agree with you, Jason.
No, you're for sure, man.
Jason's right.
Wasn't towards you guys. So,
yeah. I totally get what you're saying, Marcel. No, for sure. All right, let's go to the next fight, guys. You got Frankie Edgar taking on Chris Gutierrez, and this one's at 135. It's Frankie Edgar's retirement fight, apparently. I mean, he could always leave the door open and come back. I think he'll fight again, honestly. Like, he says right now he's going to take a break, and I get it because he said, he wants to be with his family. I still think he's the kind of guy that might come. Like, Uriah Faber, he took, 4 years off and came back and fought again? Yeah, I think you might see Frankie fight.
Frankie's 41, man.
He is, Marcel, but I still feel like he'll fight again,
As long as it doesn't go to bare knuckle.
I hope not. I'm not saying it might be in the UFC. I'm just saying, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's really a boxing match in the future. I just don't think he's completely done. Like, I think he's done for now because he's coming off 2 straight knockouts. Though 3 in his last 4, he's being brutally knocked out. And he might get knocked out here again, right? Like, he might get brutally knocked out. Let's take a look at the line for this one, guys. Minus 210 on Gutierrez, plus 180 Frankie. Odds opened, minus 130 on Gutierrez. So he opened as the favorite, but he's really skyrocketed up here. I mean, when the fight got announced, that's the way I was leaning. I don't see why you wouldn't lean towards Chris Gutierrez because just everything. I mean, the youth advantage, he's way younger. He's 10 years younger. He's got the nasty leg kicks. He's on fire right now. He's knocking everyone out. We're not knocking everyone out. He's knocked a couple guys out, but you know what I mean? He's just on fire. He hasn't lost in a few years now. He's really good. But at the same time, Frankie's a guy that with the wrestling, Marcel, he was beating Marlon Vera for the first couple rounds, with that wrestling, right? So can he use the wrestling here and win this fight and walk away for at least for now, coming off a win, or does he get knocked out again? I think those are the only 2 ways the fight ends. Either Frankie gets leg kicked to death and then knocked out, or he's able to use the wrestling, Marcel, and surprise us again, like when he did against Yair, maybe. I don't know. What do you think? Like, I want to hear your thoughts on this one. I'll say I'm leaning towards Gutierrez still. I don't see why I wouldn't because of the age advantage here, but just saying, like, do you think Frankie's a chance to wrestle him maybe and surprise us?
When I saw this fight announcement, I was like, why you fucks giving Frankie in his last fight? The guy was on a 7-fight unbeaten streak. On the other hand, Gutierrez deserves a fight like this to try to get in the rankings. That's what I think. But I really harsh to give Frankie this last fight in his career. I feel like, man, if Frankie can wrestle, yes, but will he wrestle for 3 rounds? I don't know, man. I think Gutierrez stops him, man. I think he knocks him out. Probably with some spinning shit again. Wouldn't be surprised with a lot of low kicks or leg kicks. Second round, Gutierrez knockout, man. And honestly, I hope it's a decision and it goes. Listen, I think it would be bad for Gutierrez to lose right now. So I actually hope for a decision win for Gutierrez and that Frankie can go out in a good way. Obviously, I hope Frankie does well, but I don't think he wins. And it's the best possible thing then is to lose by a decision. Then Gutierrez can continue in his run in bantamweight and Frankie can say goodbye in a decent way. I don't want to see him get knocked out in this last fight for now. So, but I think it's going to happen, man. I really don't like the matchup.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Rest in peace, Frankie. He probably gets knocked out again, guys. But I think he's going to get leg kicked a lot too. Like I said, that Marlon Vera fight though, the last fight before the knockout, he was doing a good job taking Marlon down, holding him down, controlling him, and Marlon's got pretty good takedown defense. Like that's the only worry I have. But again, it's just hard to get past the age, right, and the power and the leg kicks. Old man Frankie coming back in 4 years, age 45. I still think he'll fight again, guys. That's my prediction right now. We'll talk about it in a few years. Maybe he'll look like a dummy, but I think he's going to fight one more time later on. Got Gutierrez was a dog against Dana. Yeah, I picked him there. I liked him there a lot. That fight was competitive, and then he knocked him out with the spinning shit. So, what are you going to say? You have something to say, huh?
No.
Oh, okay, no worries. Let's go to the next fight, guys. Dustin Poirier against Michael Chandler. Oh, man, what a great fight. Like, I almost feel like people are forgetting this fight's on this card. Like, it's such a great fight. I wish it was 5 rounds. I'm sad it's not 5 rounds. I'm assuming it's because the UFC probably didn't want to pay them any more money. And they were like, no, we're not going to do it then. That's what I'm thinking, Marcel. So, I'm sure they're going to get paid well, but maybe these guys wanted pay-per-view points to do 5 rounds. Maybe that would, I'm assuming, right? That would make sense, right?
It's possible, yeah.
Such an amazing fight, though. Such an amazing fight. I love this fight. Oh, my God, what a great fight. This could headline a pay-per-view, in my opinion. In fact, it's the 3rd fight in the card. It's amazing. All right, odds for this one. Right now, we got Best Fight Odds has it not listed under the right event. You got to fix that.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Minus 175, Dustin Poirier. Plus 150, Michael Chandler. You want to go first? You want me to go first on this one?
I see on your face that you're pumped about it, so go first, dude. Go first.
I am pumped. I mean, this fight's amazing, right, guys? Like this is what we want to watch. This is why you guys are plunking down your hard money or finding other means to watch the fight and sitting there and spending your time doing it. I mean, this is a fucking awesome fight. These guys are both amazing fighters. Dustin Poirier will be in the Hall of Fame, I think, one day. Chandler, probably not because he's most of his career in Bellator. If there's ever a Bellator Hall of Fame, he can go there. But, I mean, since he's come to the UFC, the 4 fights he's had are both, like, so memorable, right? Like, the Hooker knockout, the Oliveira fight was crazy. The Gaethje fight was insane. And then the brutal flying knee knockout over Tony Ferguson. I mean, the guy, to me, I know he's 36, guys, but, like, physically, like, mentally, like, everything, like, I think he's in the prime of his career right now. Like, I really do. Because, to me, when he's on, he is one of the best lightweights in the world, maybe the best, maybe when he's on. But again, he's not without his flaws. He's been knocked out. We've seen him get dropped. The striking defense is bad. Like that's the truth. And that's why he's the underdog here. Because Poirier has really good striking. He's knocked a lot of guys out. I get it, right? I get it. But Marcel, I'll tell you, man, I really like Chandler right now. I like the form he's in. And I think he can go out there and knock Poirier out. So I'm going to go with the upset, Marcel. I'm going to take an upset pick here and take Chandler here to knock out Poirier, guys. I think it's going to be a slugfest. But I think he catches him and knocks him out. And again, there's not a ton of dogs on this card I like, and obviously Chandler might be able to go out there and get knocked out. But as a dog at plus 150, I'll take a shot on him to win this fight. I think he can do it. I like the form he's in, guys, and I'm going to take a shot on him. What do you think, Marcel?
It's a good fight, man. And by the way, I got the new hot sauce from Poirier sent from his management team to me, so I cannot pick against. I know, obviously, it's not making a difference. I mean, It's difficult, man. I think it's a close fight. I really like both guys. Obviously, I think both are top of the world guys in the lightweight division. Um, if I look at Poirier, he lost his last fight against Oliveira. Before there, he had 2 wins against Conor. If we look at Chandler, he got that crazy knockout last time against Ferguson. But I have to mention that in the first round, he looked not great against Ferguson. I think Ferguson looked pretty good in the first round against him. Second round, he knocked him out. So, yeah, what can you say? For that, the Oliveira one, the Gaethje one, where he lost, but was an amazing fight. I'm leaning towards Poirier a little bit more. I'm leaning towards a decision win for Dustin Poirier. But I think it will be a close fight. It will be a much anticipated fight. I see Antoine Willis is in the chat here. He's asking, what's our fight of the night prediction? This is my fight of the night prediction. Yeah, great one.
Yeah, this could be there, but I'm going to go lean more towards like the knockout winners because of the way I see this fight playing out. I just think they're going to trade, and then I think Chandler catches him. That's kind of what I think happens here. But again, I get why Poirier's favorite. He's such a great fighter, man. He's amazing. Like, I love the guy, and he could easily knock out Chandler too. But to me, this is like literally minus 110. You talk about pick'em fights. To me, that's what this fight is minus 110 each, and I will take a plus 150 on that. Because I feel like this fight can really go either way, but I lean towards Chandler because the form he's in right now looks great. Oh yeah, it's such a great fight. Let's get some comments here. Antoine, pay-per-view out of 10. I think 10. Like, I think this is amazing. What's your pick for fighting night? We just talked about that. Chandler's my pick. Yeah, I think so. It's up Raw Festival. He likes Chandler too. Fair enough. Poirier gives it too easy. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. But I think Poirier in the last couple of years hasn't been giving up. When we see main events, the most high-level striking match in MMA history, and for UFC title, it's got to be up there. I mean, I think at the time, like Shogun the Cheetah was like one of the better ones, but this one is obviously it's evolved, right? It's like 12 years later. The sport's so good right now. It's gonna be a good fight. Yeah, Pereira fight performance tonight. We'll talk about that in a sec. Anything else about this fight? You're good.
I'm good.
Well, the next fight, guys, co-main event. 2 more fights here, guys. Man, we're almost talked out. 2 hours almost into this one, so I'm definitely I'm excited for these last couple of fights, but my voice is going too. Let's go to this one here. We got Weili Zhang, guys, and Carlos Esparza right now. Zhang minus 340 as the challenger, Esparza plus 280 as the favorite, as the champion. Excuse me. You don't see the champion as a big dog like this too often in the UFC. It's kind of rare, I would say, but I feel like it's justified, guys. Like, I guess I'll start off on this one, Marcel. Like, I know that Esparza has looked really good lately, guys. Like, I feel like she doesn't get the credit she deserves because it's not like her style is so appealing to watch. But I mean, she's won 6 straight fights. Like, she knows how to win fights. She has that ability to take you down and hold you there and grind you out for 5 rounds and not get tired doing it. Like, that's what makes her dangerous. But I just feel like Weili Zhang is just like such a good athlete, and coming off that insane knockout win, that's just going to help her confidence. She's still getting better as a fighter, in my opinion. Like, I don't think she's a finished product. Like, I know obviously she got caught against Rose, and I picked that one, and then the rematch against Rose. I liked Rose in that matchup, but this is a different matchup, a completely different matchup. This is a fighter that, as long as she keeps this fight standing and doesn't get taken down, which maybe she does get taken down like once or twice, maybe, but I think she'll get back up really quick. I think she just remember when she fought Joanna, Carla, and she just like get her against the fence and just rain down strikes until she finished her. The ref stopped it. That's what I think happens here. She swarms her, TKOs her. Weili Zhang by TKO Marshall. I think the odds, honestly, I think they're justified, guys. Like I just think it's a bad matchup again for Carla. But at the same time, Carla has won quite a few fights as a dog that I didn't think she'd win either. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. The market's usually down on her, and she's usually an underdog in her fights and wins them. So at least lately, that's the only worry here. But again, I had you picking against Weili Zhang after that last fight. What do you think?
I think Carla knocks her out, man. No, just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
No, man. Carla only has a chance if she controls over 5 rounds, dude. And it's not going to happen, I think Weili has also a pretty decent ground game, and I think Weili knocks her out probably in the 2nd round. That's what I expect.
Yeah, no, totally fair. Yeah, I think so too. All right, let's get to the last fight here, guys. Main event time, Marcel. Can't wait to talk about this one with you, man. Here we go, guys. Israel Adesanya against Alex Pereira. Oh, man, what a fight. All right, Marcel. Odds for this one. Right now, Adesanya is the favorite. Minus 180. So it's it opened at minus 200. So it's gone down a little bit, but still hanging kind of steady there. Minus 180. And then Pereira plus 155. So I'll let you go first, man. Who's your pick to win this fight? And obviously should be one of the best fights on the card of the year, possibly. To hear your thoughts, man.
Exactly 1 year ago, we were wondering how Pereira's debut would go in the UFC. That's crazy. Now he's fighting for a title. Yeah, obviously a lot of history between the two guys. Both guys fought each other, I think, twice in China. One close fight, split decision for Pereira, I think, and a knockout for Pereira. The only guy who was able to stop Adesanya in a professional fight, boxing, kickboxing, MMA. Yeah, what do we think about it? We know how Adesanya fights is more of a counter kind of guy. Not really. Adesanya's not really appealing to watch as of lately, in my opinion. It can be happening because of his opponents, but still, I think his opponents are just not challenging enough for him. And that's why he can keep it safe. If we look at Pereira, yeah, great win against Strickland, but what the hell was Strickland doing, dude? What was the game plan there? Yeah, it was weird. But if you look at Michailidis, he dominated first round on the ground when he had him down, and that was something that, and I know it's a year ago, I was kind of like, wow, okay, what we'll see. And many people expect Pereira to steamroll Adesanya or something in this fight. I don't see that happening, man. Adesanya's way too smart to let Pereira steamroll him, I honestly think if Pereira has to wins, it's in the early first or second round, I don't say he doesn't have the gas tank, but that's just where he's strongest, I think. I think Adesanya is approaching him the same way as he does with the other guys, keeping his distance, picking his shots. Does he go to the ground? I don't know for sure. Adesanya is a very proud guy, and he's really annoyed that he got knocked out by Pereira, so maybe he tries. But if his pride come into play, that can be bad for him, because then I think Pereira can take him out, But I'm leaning towards Adesanya with the decision, man. I think Adesanya retains.
Yeah, I think you have to, right? Pick him because of the experience of MMA. I mean, that's really what it comes down to for me. Like he did lose twice in kickboxing, and this is supposed to be a kickboxing fight, but I think he'll use his grappling and try to use it, implemented grappling, because we've seen it at times. Like Mark Vittori's a really good grappler. He did some really good things in that fight in the ground. Like, looked much better than the Jan Blachowicz fight, which again was up a weight class, right? Man, I mean, Pereira's great. Like, don't get me wrong, Marcel. Like, I picked him against Strickland. I think the guy's great, but I can't pick him in this fight. He might go out there and knock out Adesanya. It wouldn't shock me, obviously. It'd be cool to see it happen, honestly. Like, to have a new champion would be cool to see. But I just feel like Izzy will use his experience and win the fight. I'm thinking, what do you think? A decision, or you think he finishes him?
Yeah, I have a decision for Adesanya.
That's what I'm leaning towards too, Marcel.
I think he takes his distance and picks his shots, and maybe, like you say, implement the wrestling in it. So yeah,
that's what I think happens too. But I think it's going to be a really interesting fight. I'm actually looking forward to seeing this fight. All right, sorry.
I feel like it has to do with pride. The thing is how badly Adesanya wants to prove that he can knock out Pereira. If that comes into play, and he's going to take risks, he can get knocked out by Pereira. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if he fights smart, keeps his distance, implement the wrestling with it, and fights how he can fight, he should be able to win, man. That's what I think.
And though, like, Pereira's dangerous, I still feel like minus 180, like, I feel like the line could be higher, I think it's giving Pereira a lot of respect, and not Adesanya, to be honest with you, as a champion in the UFC. Like, he's won 6 straight title fights. Yeah, and he might get knocked out again. It's possible. It's MMA, and obviously he's been knocked out in kickboxing on this guy, but I think he picks him apart too. Let's get some last couple of comments, guys. Antoine says he wants Spurs to get title shot. Fair enough, yeah. I think Esparza, Jang's a lot closer, maybe, but I think she gets knocked out. So I don't know. Pereira by knockout, Israel by running. I'm kind of leaning towards the latter. If Izzy the fuck here shows up, Pereira wins. I'm going Pereira. Yeah, fair enough. Take up the history. Pereira's the exact same chance. Izzy's last few guys hits like a nuke. It's and melts him and gets leg kicked on death en route to a 48-47. Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll win a round or two, but I think he loses the decision, like you said. Like, that's what I'm leaning towards too. I was actually curious, like, the method you thought. Do you think Chandler, Dustin, win gets Islam next? Maybe.
I hope not for them.
Maybe Fiziev gets it. Thoughts on Guram versus Moises? it's a good
Makes
fight.
sense.
I mean, it's a pretty good fight. I'm not a huge Thiago Moises fan, but he obviously he's got some nice wins in the UFC. Gurov's a beast. Whaley couldn't stop Rose's takedowns. Yeah, that's the thing, right? In that fight, you're right. I agree with that. I mean, that was kind of the difference, right? Like the grappling in that fight. I don't know. I still think I think she can finish her, Marcel. I just believe in Weili Zhang. Again, it's like I believe in this fighter.
Styles make fights, I pick Esparza to beat Rose last time, but I don't pick Esparza to beat Weili.
Yeah, fair enough. Why isn't Fiziev Gaethje being announced? I don't know. I want to see that fight too. I do want to see that one. All right, guys, we'll take just like a last couple of comments, but I'm pretty good, Marcel, to be honest with you. Really appreciate everyone joining us, though, guys. Like, I mean, we love you guys in the chat asking questions. Go ahead.
Likely being in March, Fiziev Gaethje, but it's not done yet.
Ooh, there we go. There's a little clue there for Marcel. All right. Do you think Brian Hoyer will win Saturday? Who's that?
Oh yeah, he got a tough opponent, Arthur Sepaniak. It's in KSW.
Okay.
I think he will, but it's close. Arthur is good as well. So yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it. Let's just get out of here, Marcel. I think we're good here. All right, guys. Just want to say so. I'm off this week, and we're going to do the podcast next Tuesday. It'll be November 15th, I believe, will be the next one, Marcel. I don't want to do it on vacation this time. I'm saying
yeah. Just say you're going to lay on the beach and watch the fights. We know.
Yeah, 100%. Man. Can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Marcel, just plug your stuff, and we'll get out of here. Let's let the people enjoy their Sundays.
It's Big Marcel24 on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find my articles, if you can read Dutch, on Eurosport.nl Mixed Martial Arts section.
Yeah, Twitter and Man Martin, you guys know, podcast and the oddsbreaker.com, Spotify, iTunes, all those places, guys. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it, get more people in chat. Hope you guys have a great week where I'm gone. Marcel, hope you have a great week, man. Appreciate you doing this show with me as always, my friend. Enjoy the fights, everyone. In the meantime, you can read my articles at bookies.com, my best bets this week. I went, I think it was like 2 out of 3 last week or whatever, so not bad. You can read that at mymenus.com and then obviously on oddsbreaker.com. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys soon. November 15th will be the next podcast, Tuesday. Peace.